There are a ton of buttonholes included with the Pfaff Quilt Ambition 2.0 sewing machine. So you have different sizes of thicknesses of satin stitch. You have rounded ends, you have keyhole ends, you have different tops, you have stretch buttonholes and so forth. And there's even bar tacks here too that will get you going. Plus we are going to stitch on buttons. Oh, and eyelets. So this whole category, starting from stitch number 32 to 45, those are all kind of in that category. So just to start off with, if we pick buttonhole number 33, that comes up as the standard buttonhole. Stitch number 32, that's the one that's like a little thinner version of the satin stitch. So start with, for your very first buttonhole, start with the, not 33, start with the standard buttonhole. So the foot that we're using is 5B. Now, as you look at this foot, you will notice that there's a bar on the front. That's where it's going to attach. And then this whole part sticks out the back side. But the beauty of this foot is that you can put your button that you're making the buttonhole for in the back, and it will then do the size that you're wanting. So that's the button, foot that's being asked. We do recommend some stabilizer. That's the picture of the little piece of paper. The IDT is removed, V-dugs are up, tension is reduced. So I am going to come up here and reduce our top tension. I'm going to just take it to 3. Why the reduction is because you want the stitches to kind of roll to the back side. This makes the bobbin thread tension tighter, and it pulls the top thread to the back and makes that buttonhole look really pretty on the top. Most of the time, again, just leave your stitch width and length preset. Unless you're using some really thick thread, then you might adjust the stitch length to not be so close together. But all in all, this is usually a nice basic setting. Now there's one more thing that we need to set up when you put the foot on. Now remember, the buttonhole foot sticks all the way out the back side of the machine. And just lift it right up and click it into position. Now usually this thread here, I'll just let it hang over the edge, because once you take and stitch one buttonhole, that thread will go down through the middle. So I usually don't do anything with it. But the key is right behind your needle threader, there is another lever. Pull that lever down all the way. This is what's going to sense how big this button is in the back of the machine, or in the back of the foot. That way it knows exactly when to turn around. So I'm going to just set this here. Notice I am starting kind of on the front part of my fabric, and that's because the buttonhole is going to travel this way. So just be prepared for that for the first time that you actually stitch. So you can actually slow the machine down and even use the start-stop button and just let the buttonhole do the whole thing for you. If you want to cut the little thread off that was over the top of the foot, stop the machine and then go ahead and keep stitching. So you'll notice it's going to stitch away from us all the way up and then back down with the straight stitch. Do the little tack at the bottom and then do the zigzag up the right hand side. So the nice thing is that buttonholes are going to finish when they're done. So either keep your foot on the foot control, or like what we were doing, touching the start-stop button, and it will stop. When it's done, the foot does reset and then allows you to test the buttonhole, and if you like it, go ahead and stitch it again. So all you have to do is have a starting place for these buttonholes to just stitch out easy every single time perfectly. All you have to do is remember to make sure your lever for your buttonhole sensor here is pushed all the way up and at the top when you're done. We had a student just recently not get that all the way back to the highest position, and it actually affected a few of the other stitches that we were doing next. So just make sure it returns to the highest part, and then you're all set. And you could do hundreds of buttonholes identical.